It's early January. It's very mild today here. We're quite close to Budby pumping station, and I'll put a map in just to show you exactly where I'm lurking this morning in Nottinghamshire. Although there's still obviously no leaves on the trees, one of the first signs of early spring has already sprung. Hazel catkins. I never tire of seeing hazel catkins, and to me they're the first real sign of spring. But over the last several decades really, their appearance has become earlier and earlier. Back in the 1960s and 1970s, you wouldn't have seen these before the end of February, and yet now on some plants they're out before Christmas. Hazel catkins, when I was a lad, were always considered the perfect accompaniment to a bunch of daffodils. Often the first bunch of daffodils that you could go out and pick, or you could buy from the greengrocers. Fortunately, when I was a child, I had access to an orchard full of daffodils, and quite often I'd go and pick a bunch of daffodils from my grandma or my mother. And then I'd be told to go out and get some hazel catkins. And that I did. That you could do then, but we were talking end of February or most of March, really, thinking about it now. Today, hazel catkins are available about a month before daffodils even come in the shops, and that's with modern horticultural practices and bringing and importing daffodils to our more northern climes in this part of the UK. Now, these hazel catkins, they are quintessentially the first real sign of spring to me, but saying this is early January, they're getting earlier. I've seen them sort of budding and starting to burst open even weeks before Christmas, but I've seen numerous plants like this one where the catkins are fully out. The female flowers are also just starting to burst open, and most often the female flowers are formed at the base of the male catkins. The catkins are actually the male part, or the male flower. The female flower is inconspicuous, just almost like a normal bud, and then on the end of that, a tiny, almost spiky pink flower. The flower is quite reminiscent of a cacti flower really in some ways, but very, very tiny. Yet that's the bit that's going to form the hazelnut that we eat around Christmas time. Sort of come full circle. But seeing hazel catkins growing on a hazel, maybe along a country lane or on the ride of a wood, it's always a beautiful sight. It's sort of heartwarming and uplifting sight. Winter, as I've said before to many people and several times on this channel, isn't a period of dull nothingness. It's anything but now, especially in these latter decades when things have changed considerably. One thing that hasn't changed though for me is my love for these hazel catkins. And this one, look at the length of this one. This is a good 6 inches long, twice the length of any of the other ones here. There we are then. One of the first signs, if not the first sign, of an impending spring. I know a lot of people get very sort of low and sad during the winter months, but there are always positives to look out for. I'm looking out for hazel catkins, even though there's still ample opportunity for cold or snowy weather. It still breaks up the winter or the darkness that some people feel during the winter months. There's not much that beats Hazel catkins. Proper cheer you up. Of course, the next thing on the list will be snowdrops, and then daffodils and crocuses. And the year starts again, and by the time they come around, we've usually seen the worst of any weather.